What do you know about that?
Well, we're super excited about it. Really,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
going to be a series of meetings. So like an opportunity meeting and then a half-day training on Saturday. So opportunity Friday, half-day training on Saturday in February, and then they're going to repeat that again in March, which I think offers us a tremendous amount of just that consistency of being able to say to people, we're doing the same thing. You know, bring more
Yeah.
people. We're going to do it again.
Yeah.
And then in April, there'll be an opportunity meeting, like a celebration after that. So we're so
Well,
excited that
good.
they picked
Yeah.
Denver. Yeah,
Yep.
so it should be really fun. So
Great. And when is the first meeting? When did you say?
it's February 6th is the Friday
Oh,
night, and February 7th is the Saturday, and then in March it's I think the 13th and the 14th.
okay. Coming up quickly.
Really quickly, and then April is the 16th. It's a Thursday night. So
And
yeah.
I would just like to mention to people as they're coming on, too, that when they read about and hear about something like meetings going on, they're doing them in what, Denver and I can't remember the other state.
Philadelphia area is what I
Philadelphia.
heard. Yeah.
To,
And then I
to,
think there's one in Canada as well, which is
oh,
kind of
good.
cool. Canada got one,
Yeah.
yeah.
And we don't want to, even though we don't live in Denver, I don't live in Philadelphia, you don't want to just outrightly dismiss and say, oh, that's not for me. No, you put on your thinking cap and you think, you know, who do I know that lives in the Denver area? Who do I know that might know some people that live in the Denver area?
I think you're right. That's a yeah.
And you start asking people, hey, do you know anyone that lives in Denver? Hey, do you know anyone? Blah, blah, blah. Because it's, you never know. And I'm constantly reminded of Sean and Carmen Gray, who have an explosive organization in China.
Massive, yeah.
And it all started, though, with Sean sitting next to a gal on the plane and saying, by the way, you don't know anyone that lives in, at that time I think it was Taiwan, do you? He said, our company is expanding globally and we're just looking for connections in Taiwan. She said, well, yeah, my Aunt Nancy.
Yeah.
And not that Aunt Nancy did not get involved in Shackley, but it was through Aunt Nancy that Sean met other people.
Yeah.
So it pays.
It really is a blessing that we can have the opportunity to have an organization all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
That we can do that. I already have someone coming to the one in Denver.
Yay!
Good for you.
Awesome.
Great.
Because just like you said, just reaching out to people who live there, and whether they've expressed an interest before and now, hey, there's this great opportunity for you to follow up, or this may not be something that interests you, but I have this great opportunity, you know, or this may be something you're interested in, and I just want to give you the chance because this is a really special event. They're only doing it in 2 cities, and so to give people the opportunity to check something out is
right, and it's a good way to phrase that too. They're only doing 2. This is, you know, really a special opportunity for you.
Well, exactly, and that's kind of what I've been even telling the people around here is saying, listen, you know, Shackley sees something really special in the Denver area, and they really want to develop it, so they're investing some extra focus and time, and so you create that kind of specialness and that energy, but just the idea of being able to be a part of something that's going to really turn into something massive because the company is targeting in the area, it is. So, yeah, you're right. If you reach out to someone, even if you don't live here, but they can maybe catch that fever a little bit of, boy, Denver is really going to take off, you know. So
right,
it's fun.
absolutely. Well, I think we'll start here with some of our actual pre-call announcements, and just to remind everybody about what we call the January 2015 campaign, which goes through the end of March. In January, February, March, and it's being done in partnership with Jackie McCoy and a Shackley 180 community of field leaders. And of course, the whole campaign is geared around setting a weight loss record by the end of March to have our Shackley family and the people we talk to lose 40,000 pounds, which is just, I think, awesome. And I love this part. It means, 4,000 new wardrobes, 4,000 new dress sizes, 4,000 brighter smiles, probably 4,000 fewer meds, on and on with that. So it's a great campaign. And just to remind everyone that through we got Thursday, we got today and Friday and Saturday where we can still register people with these specials. So take advantage of that. If there's somebody you have not yet talked to that you know you should or you have wanted to, you've got 3 days to put out that effort and get in touch with people to offer them the special sponsoring and then the free almond blueberry bars.
Nice.
So, good.
That's a good gift. Really awesome.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's not. It gives people 7 more meals.
Yeah.
7 meals for free. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Lisa, tell us about the Jackie video diary.
So I really am excited about these, and if you haven't seen it yet, you definitely want to go do it. It is now at the Member Center. I believe they've got them linked to the Shackley.tv site as well, and it's all over Facebook. But Jackie does such a beautiful job talking about the big challenges with weight loss. And so this last diary she did talked about different types of hunger. I was really excited about it because this is a little issue I deal with, the boredom hunger and that kind of thing. So they're just very beneficial for us, and so I think we'll get a new one every week. In fact, we probably did this week. It's a great thing to share with the people that you're supporting, but it's a kind of a piece that I think we needed in the support in the psychology part of maybe changing our lives and losing weight. So, and of course Jackie does it beautifully because she's just real and natural, and she knows exactly what she's talking about. So. And then the calls. So the call this week had Dr. Daggy on it. They are archived for a week, and then I believe the next call will bump that old archive. So if you missed Tuesdays, you want to listen to it, you can listen to it before the next Tuesday. But then Dr. McManus was the first week, and they have little guest speakers for people that are doing the program and losing weight. So again, a wonderful support system, and I think a huge piece for a lot of people to stay plugged in and doing reaching for their goals.
And we can't underestimate the power and value of these support resources for people that are working to lose some weight. Because it is a challenge, and people need help along the way.
Yeah,
and then Shackley would like us to be sure we send in a record with our Shackley 180 updates, our group's weight loss information, so that they can stay on top of the progress. And I think you just email your Shackley 180 record form, to Shackley, and those forms can be downloaded from the Members Center, and you could probably attach them to this week's recap.
Yeah.
Then everybody would have it.
Yeah.
I don't know if Susan Knott is on this morning, but Barb was telling us about this. Oh, she is. Susan, I'm going to unmute you. I thought I would. Susan.
We're always so happy that you get to do all that, Joe. All that muting and unmuting. Oh my gosh.
Susan, are you there? Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can you just tell us about your monthly special idea?
Yes, what I did, it was just kind of a last-minute thing. I'd come back from vacation beginning of January and just thought, gosh, I need to do something. So one night I just decided I'm going to just send an email out to my members, and I was going to make it real simple. And I thought, how about it's the new year, try a new product you've never ordered before in the new year and receive free shipping, for the month of January. And I put at the time, I just quickly thought, I'll make the minimum be $50, so you could choose 75 or 100, whatever you want to choose. And then what I did, because I really didn't have much time to be real creative or on what I was going to suggest or recommend, I just thought, Lori Kreischer's, or I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah, thank you. Newsletters that she offers for free, they are excellent because they're all stories about people who have used products and with pictures, and they're really visually nice. So I quickly got online, looked up, and I chose a couple, and sometime in the last year that I thought were good ones, and attached those. And what I said was, in my email was, be adventurous and try something new in the new year, and see attached newsletters for ideas. And I also put something in about the lose 10 pounds real quick. So far, and I know at the time when I told Barb this, there were 6 people who'd participated in that special. But now I counted last night, and it's either 8 or 9. So that means 8 or 9 people have tried a brand new product that they've never ordered before. And my PV has been excellent this month, and January normally is not. So
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's a great idea, and I love it, that you just, sometimes we think we've got to put all this time and energy and effort into planning out this perfect, special or whatever we're going to do, and we don't. I love it that you just kind of did it. It's like, I've got to do something. What could I do? I could do this, and you did it, and you've gotten great results.
Yes.
Nice.
Good for you, Susan.
Boy, we can sure overthink things sometimes, can't we? You know what I mean?
And the key is,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So, but the thing is you just acted on it. I love it.
Right, and I kind of have a little talk with myself and say, don't overanalyze. You don't have to be perfect. Right. Just get something out there to your members. Yes.
Very good.
That's good. Thank you, Susan, for sharing that. And Stephanie Bruce, I don't think she's on this morning. Katie, if you're there, can you tell us what Stephanie did here with her post?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I can. She just did a post on, do you guys ever boil over your pots when you're cooking and then wind up with a big old mess on the stove? Do you have a baking sheet that you're embarrassed by? Or do you have mold on your bathtub jets? If your answer is yes to any of these, then you need to meet my best friend. And then she linked her blog about Scour Off. And so that was just a Facebook post that she did that works really well. And anybody that we always say the cleaners are the gateway to Shackley, because anybody that gets their hands on Scour Off or Basic H will be sold on how well Shackley works and amazed at what they do.
Thank you, Katie. Yes, absolutely. And again, this is just a nice, simple post. It's not jamming Shackley in anybody's faces, but it's kind of teasing, creating curiosity, and it's very compelling. So, it's just some good things for us to think about. Becky Choate did this. I don't know if this was a Facebook post of the week. Becky, can you hear us? Can you come on? She's maybe not there. Okay.
She posted this on our one of our team pages.
Okay.
And just shared it with the group of something that she was doing that was really working. So she, this had been a post not on her Facebook profile, but in our
on your team page.
Group team page. Yeah.
Okay.
Just to share something that she was doing to engage people who haven't ordered in the last 3 months. And so she was just sharing, which is another great part about Facebook. Facebook isn't only for marketing and prospecting, but it's really for encouraging the team, working together. And we have this amazing community in this business. And so she is sharing something that worked for her and how well it was working. So, yeah.
Yeah, and she's using a tool that Shackley's provided us. She went into the Member Center, looked up who hadn't ordered in 3 months. She picked out 15 people, called and emailed them a free shipping deal if they ordered by January 24th. And she's trying to generate some more PV, so by the end of the month I'm not panicky. Mm-hmm. And she's already had people take advantage of it. But and it's reaching out and it's communicating and it's keeping those touches going with our members. So another great idea for us to use.
And I agree with Harper because, I mean, for me, Facebook, the bulk for me personally is getting that support and that interaction and that creative juices going with other Shackley leaders. So you're right on, Harper. So sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. So, Lisa, we're a little bit past the top of the hour when we start our webinar. We've been going through some pre-call things. So, Lisa, get us started.
All right, so welcome to session 3 of our Legacy and Leadership spring training. We're so excited because it really is, we've kicked it off and it's really been good and things are going well. So we're excited that you're with us today and we're going to just move ahead and talk about some great strategies and business stuff. So our objective last semester was really to help everybody that wasn't a director that was participating to help reach the rank of director. This semester we're really focusing on kind of moving more towards the coordinator rank, but I do want to say no matter what rank you are at, that the this training is really appropriate for you because all of these things are basic fundamentals. So don't think that you're discluded here. So last week we talked about a system, developing a system and a process for growing your consumer base and helping grow your team, right? Your business partners. This week we're going to talk about getting the new distributors started. Talk about how to contact the names on their list, sponsoring the first customers. We're really going to give a lot of dialogue and word tracks so you can kind of get some of that language and verbiage down, communication ideas, because that's really what we're all about in this business is communication. So it's going to be a good session, and we're excited about it.
Absolutely.
All right.
So something new that I have recently put together is just I've updated my steps to getting new distributors started. And what we're talking about community, you know, some of these ideas that I've added and changed have been from other Shaklee distributors who are successful, and so it's just a great thing that we share these ideas and that we can be blessed by what other people are doing. So this is what we have started doing. That in your first week, when you have a new distributor and they're ready to go, and you, as you know, their upline, like, okay, now what do I do? Having a system in place, like we talked about, to share with them so that you know what to do and so they know what to do, and then you can work together to reach those goals that you guys have. So what we have set up is that in your first week, you set up your personal website, and recently, we had someone speak at our January conference who talked about the value of using those extra pages, something that is on my to-do list, but taking advantage of those and making the most of the pages that are about you. One thing that we found is very valuable is taking a picture of your distributor kit and posting it on Facebook. Tag your upline. Share your excitement have them share their excitement about the business. So they would tag you as their upline so that you can comment on it and you can be involved in the conversation. But it's just a great way to put on Facebook in a picture that they're doing something new. Putting together a list of 25 people within 24 hours of getting started. And even now, like if you know someone who, well, I'm waiting to do this to buy my gold kit or whatever their hesitation is, have them start making that list right away so that they're ready to go when they buy their gold kit. And then getting your upline or mentor or someone in your upline connected with 3 people in the next 7 days. So within that first week, at least scheduling 3 three-way calls. Those can be about the business, those can be about products, but scheduling one of those calls with your upline, because in the beginning, a new distributor isn't going to know necessarily what to do. They aren't going to know all the information, and they don't need to because they have their team as a resource. So just getting those calls scheduled and getting in that system, because that's how they begin to see that this process is duplicatable. That's how they begin to see, how do I talk to people? How do I answer their questions? And then the next thing is to complete a dreams and goals form, which I think Barb will send out in the email so you can see what we use and you can make it look however you want to look. But just to start a discussion, to get them thinking about their why, what they want this to look like, what their dreams are, and what they want to work towards. And then you can meet with them and be able to help them take that and make that into their goals and their why and put that together. Because that's the thing. You don't need to know everything to begin connecting people with Shaklee. And that's the beauty of the team, of the upline, and of the three-way calls.
Good points.
So then what we've set up next is then what do you do within the first month? So that's the first week, and then trying to help people just put together steps. And you can make this look however you want. This is just something that's been working for us. So just scheduling that goal meeting, like I mentioned, taking that goals and dreams for meeting and talking about what are your goals and your dreams, and how is Shaklee going to help you to get to that why. Getting on those training. We have a sheet of training resources. We put our Monday night webinars that we do, our wellness webinars, these Thursday webinars. We have a sheet we call Skill Up Incentives that has just a bunch of different opportunities for people to learn more. So we want them to look at that and get signed up for those those webinars. So they can be on this call, and downloading the First Steps resource guide. And it's also, when they join, it's also now in the flash drive that they get. So just reading through that, that's a great resource for them to have and just to use. We also, so when you have that goal setting meeting, that will help you prepare your 1 to 2 minute story, because that's really important, because as they post things on Facebook and as they are interacting with people, they're going to have opportunities to share what they're doing with Shackley and why they chose Shackley. And that why and those goals and those dreams are a very important part of that, because if you've ever listened to the one very crucial, well, not crucial, but one very important way to present that is this Simon Sinek video that really explains it well. And that we can put in the email too, but about why your why is important, because we want to share with people our why and what is our passion, and not just, Shackley products. And so we want them to understand that, and we want them to be able to express that. And also, what I found, and I explain this to my team, is that in talking about your why, when you're talking about Shackley and talking about what you do in your 1 to 2 minute story, including that you help others build a business like this too, is very powerful. And when you're helping them develop that 1 to 2 minute story, reminding them that they have that to offer. Katie talked about at a conference recently that the business is her favorite product. So even recently, I shared my 1 to 2 minute story with someone, and at the end, I added that, and I help other people build a business just like this. And she said, someone I'd never met, she was buying a table from me offline, and she said, "Can we meet about that? Because I'd be interested in,
business,
starting a business." So you know what I mean. But just offering that to people so that they know that that's something that's included in what you do. Continuing to add their names to the list, and really focusing on thinking about at least 10 people on that list of ideally 100. At least 10 people that you think would be great additions to your team. And we want to help people start thinking about who they could share this opportunity with, and going from there. Starting to view the videos in the Shackley TV file. Having them view Lisa Anderson's beautiful and wonderful opportunity presentation would be fabulous, because she does an amazing job. And it's great for them. You're welcome. And it's great for them to hear. And then contacting a minimum of 5 people for individual appointments or 3-way calls. I try to start getting people to do new member appointments as soon as possible with their new members that they've signed up, just to get them in the habit, to get them knowing how to do that. And we start that with a 3-way call. Like, we'll do a 3-way call to do the new member appointments. And if you want to learn more about new member appointments, Lisa did an amazing series on new member appointments last spring, I think, that's in Bob's files. We also asked them to host 2 grand opening events, either in their home or in Facebook, because, like we said in the beginning, if I go ahead and have someone, my friend in Denver, go to the Groundswell event and she becomes a distributor, I can't necessarily go and do an in-home event, and she might not be ready in the beginning to host that by herself, so we can do one on Facebook. There's a lot of opportunities to get the word out and to present what you're doing to people in the beginning. In addition to the grand opening events, one additional way to contact people, to just let people know what you're doing and share what Shackley can offer them. Some people write a letter, some people put it in their Christmas card, and then we really encourage new distributors to complete that 8 weeks to Director summer school series. And I send them the link so that they can find it easily, that we did this summer, because that was a really powerful and really worthwhile series of teachings that they can help them get started. And no matter who we are, we have Lisa and Katie and Barb and Joe and all these people sharing all that information that they can listen to in that 8 weeks, and that's why those are archived, so that we can share them with new people.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Nicely done, Harper. I just want to clarify, Harper, these are the action steps that you use with a distributor, not a customer member.
Right. This is, so as we're talking about what it looks like to become a coordinator, we're talking about when you bring on a new distributor, you need to know what to do with that. So
Yes.
to be able to, so that's what this is for a new distributor, someone who's ready to start a business, and these are just some steps. And I send it in a document, that they can.
I don't want to assume, but I am assuming that these are the action steps that you take with every distributor. You don't, because you talked about it being a system that was duplicatable, you aren't trying to figure out a different way of working with every new distributor that comes on board. This is your system.
Exactly. Yeah. And for a long time I did that. For a long time it was just like, okay, let's see what's new with you, and trying to figure it out. But as you get more and more distributors, you need to have a system so that you can manage your time well, and so that you already know what to do, they already know what to do, and then they know what to do when they bring on a distributor. And so for a long time, I wasn't making what I was doing duplicatable. I wasn't making it simple. I wasn't putting it in a system and putting things in a system so that this is what I do. And then when I sit down to do my work, I know exactly what to do.
Right.
And that really helps.
Good.
That's beautiful. And a system not only is duplicatable, but it brings confidence to everyone involved. Everyone is like, wait, it's not a mystery, right? And so very smart, Harper. Good job. All right, so now we're going to move into learning some skills for talking to people, because this is what we do. And it really is, I think, a lifelong endeavor, but you want to really work on this piece because it's going to serve you well in your business and in working with people at every single level. All right, so let's...
And nothing happens till we talk to people.
I know, and it's so funny because so many of us keep trying to make it happen without.
Right.
You're so right. And the point is, some people are natural at this, some people are not, but the truth is all of us have to work on these skills somewhat. So if you feel like this isn't your strength, that's fine. You're going to get better, and you're going to get really good at it. So let's talk about the art of the authentic, meaningful conversation, because it really is everything. Now, we all know that every single day of every single week, from the time we wake up, and sometimes if our phone is next to our bed in the night, we are being marketed to, right? There's always something that is trying to get to us, trying to get us to buy into something, to purchase something, to do something, right? The constantness. So we really want to make sure as we're talking and working with people that we're setting apart from that noise. We want to rise above the noise of the salesy world and the constant kind of trying to, I'm going to just say, I think as people we feel manipulated by advertising. I feel manipulated. You put the cute puppy up there and we all fall to pieces, right? I don't even like beer and I watch the Budweiser commercial all the time. Anyways, my point is that we want in our business life and world to pull out of that. So I've listened a lot lately to Terry Slattery, but he talks about building relationships of trust, and that can happen instantly when you're interacting with someone, and a lot of it has to do with this authentic and meaningful conversation, okay? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. It's not going to sound like a sales pitch. It's going to be natural. It's going to be genuine and real. So let's talk about a few phrases that will help us begin to open up and share with people. So the 3 key elements of an authentic conversation: asking questions and listening well. So, and Katie's going to delve into these deeper, but the tell me what that's like, what else, these are phrases, these are wonderful phrases that are about them and what they do, and this is a big thing because I am a talker, so talking has never been hard for me. Listening has been completely foreign, and so I've had to learn to bring in phrases to my language that cause me to stop talking and allow other people to open up. Acknowledging people, this is probably one of my favorite skills and the things that it feels so good to build people up and they love it. Sharing your reason for making the contact for whatever you're doing and whatever you're discussing and whatever you're inviting to is really important. So I'm going to share just a real quick example of how this has worked really well for one of our leaders, and then Katie's going to break these down a little bit deeper. We have a builder. She's a director. She's just wonderful, and she's been working hard on this type of thing. And we were talking Monday, and she said, I have to tell you, we have an accountability call. She goes, I have to tell you my brag for the week. And so there were several. I was like, okay, what is it? She goes, I was at a party, and I was visiting with this gal, and she started telling me about some health issues and how she'd had a miscarriage. And she goes, instead of launching into Shackley and I have this can help and blah, 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 and this can support your hormones, I said, tell me more about what happened. right? It was so
Mm-hmm.
good. And the gal did. And she said, the gal looked at her and said, do you know that you are the only one who's ever asked me to speak with you? The
Oh,
only
wow.
one. And so, and of course, then at the end of the conversation, she wants to hear more about Shackley and what Shackley can do. It was a powerful moment. And so I say that because the next few slides where Katie really gives some good instruction, it is valuable stuff, valuable. So, all right. Katie, you're up.
All right. So whenever you have a conversation with somebody, you can always lead with the phrase, tell me about. So, for example, if let's say that you, a lot of times I try and set up a lot of three-way calls. And when I do a three-way call, the first question that we ask is tell me about what's going on with your health. But before we even do that, we ask questions just to get to know them more and to get to understand their situation more, because you don't want to just, it's important to know the background to people. So, for example, we were talking about somebody's health issues recently, and she started sharing more and more health concerns that she had, and we came to find out after a series of questions that, and we asked her at the very end of the conversation, we said, how does this all feel? And she said, this feels great. I'm just, my only concern is I'm on a budget. And so if we hadn't asked that question of, how does all this feel? How's all this information going? But then what do you do? What do you do when somebody says, I just don't know if I can afford Shackley? Well, I love that question because I get it all the time. And sometimes people might not buy because they didn't feel comfortable sharing that with you. So it's important that you open up the lines of communication so that they can freely share that with you. And I'll tell you, when somebody mentions budget, I had my upline actually lead this conversation recently. She did such a good job with it because she said, well, you can always refer people to Katie, and do you think that you know anybody that is concerned about products in their home being toxic and switching to non-toxic, or do you think you know anybody that maybe needs to lose weight or increase their immune system? And she started thinking, and the wheels started turning, and yeah, I think I do. And then a few days later, I told her that I would talk to her in person because I see her every week, and she comes to me and she said, I want to do a party for you. And I was so excited because, again, if we had never asked questions, if we had never come to that close where you say, how's this all feeling? I think Lisa asked that question. How does this all feel? If we hadn't asked that, I would have never known budget was a concern, and I would have never been able to guide her toward referring people. And now I have this great opportunity to do an event with her and hopefully get some customers, and hopefully she can earn her products for free and get introduced to the business. So all of this starts with asking questions and listening carefully for words that indicate a need or an interest. A lot of times there's an underlying need or interest, and again, the budget thing can be a big thing in Shackley, so it's important to think of creative ways to help people with that. And also it moves from their head to their hearts, and they start thinking more clearly too as well. So the next slide is on expressing your reasons for contacting them, and now what you are inviting them to is important. But the most important thing in this is why. People need to know why. As Lisa talked about, Simon Sinek, always start with your why. So there have been times where I'm with somebody and there's a clear opportunity to bring Shackley into the conversation, and I just stand there listening, and the words don't come, and that's okay. It happens to all of us. I had somebody recently go on and on, probably for 20, 30 minutes about a health issue that she had, and I just kept listening and trying to think of ways, and you know what? Sometimes it might not be the best moment, but I'll tell you what, it's a great opportunity to follow up with people.
Yes.
And so now what I'm going to do when I contact her is I'm going to say to her something along the lines of, I can't help but think about you since our conversation about how you were talking to me about XYZ. And I just, I did a little bit of research, and this is what I found out about what might be able to help you. Would you be interested in sitting down and talking sometime? Or would you be interested in doing a three-way call? Or would you be interested in doing a webinar? So you see that I acknowledged her and I said, I can't stop thinking about you and our conversation. Because I'll tell you, be honest, I have had times where I have just failed to mention Shackley. And it's frustrating because you walk away and you think, I had a clear opportunity. But you know what? You can never blow it, because we can always go back to people and tell them why we think that they might be interested in talking to us. Or perhaps, I always love sharing stories with people. So just recently, somebody contacted me about eczema, and they had a friend that had eczema. And I said, I shared some stories. I said, eczema is a very complex skin issue that can have multiple issues why somebody deals with it. But I'll tell you, these couple of friends, this is what has worked for them. And you're sharing a story with them about other people, and you're telling a testimony that nobody can refute. Nobody can refute when you're sharing a story with them. Or you could share things like, there's a couple examples on this slide. I'm calling because I had serious health issues for several years, and I've just been able to find this company that has these incredible products, and share a little bit about Shackley, and this is what has happened now to my health. Or I just returned. I love being able to go to conference, whether it's regional or global, because you come back and people say, hey, how was California? Hey, I noticed recently somebody said, what are all these things you're going to? And I'm like, wow, people are really noticing, when you get to go to these conferences and you get to learn and you get to experience and travel. I mean, it's just such an incredible opportunity. Or you could say even things like, I was reading an article, or I'm so grateful to have learned about prevention and what it's meant for my family. Would you be willing to hear the impact it's had on some of my friends and family? So it's important to ask that question of, would you be interested in chatting sometime? Would you be interested in going to coffee or to dinner with somebody or with me sometime to hear more about it? Yeah, those are some. I think, Lisa, you're talking about acknowledging people next.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was really good, Katie. Good stuff. And acknowledging people, I think, really is one of the most profound ways to bring into your interaction, your conversation, the ability to take down any type of wall or disconnect. And so, just like what Katie was saying, you're connecting with them and saying, why am I even bringing this up? I just don't have a quota to reach 15, whatever. I'm bringing it up because of something you said or something I see in you or something that we've had. So you're making it real with that connection. But then the acknowledgement piece. So you're really looking for opportunities to genuinely build them up, so don't kind of have a fake set of acknowledgement, but to genuinely build you up. And so build people up. I think probably the most effective acknowledgement is when someone is sharing something with you, and of course I know you guys probably have heard this in other years, but if you're really listening, then you respond to that. And a really good skill is just to even repeat back to them, so what you're telling me is this. Or a lot of times if I'm listening to a mom tell me about what's going on in her life, if I say something as simple as, wow, you have really gone through it, or your life is really intense, that type of affirmation acknowledgement is really valuable, and people need that. A lot of times I'll look for opportunities to say, I am so impressed with you. You are so proactive about your health, or you really are a tough woman. You know what I mean? It's just those kind of little things, but they're real and they're honest and they build people up. So you can see some examples here. If you've had an interaction, if someone has asked you a question, you can always say, great question. Wow. Harper said that, or Katie, I think it was you just said it. I love it when people ask me about the cost. I'll tell people that is the best question you could ever ask me. You know what I mean? Or sometimes when I'm doing a meeting, someone will say something and I'll say, I am so glad you brought that up. Or sometimes I'll say, no one has ever asked me that, but boy, is it an important thing to think about. What am I doing? I am telling them that what they're thinking matters. What they've asked is important. It's just a beautiful place to constantly have interaction, whatever the setting. So again, here's another thing. Katie just gave a good example. I thought of you because the last time we spoke, I just keep thinking about something you said, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to add something too. that comes about for me a lot of times, and probably for everybody on this call, is if you're going through and you're listening to their diet and you're listening to, what they do, to take care of their bodies, one thing that comes up is I often have people tell me, well, have you ever heard, I ask them, do you know why it's important to take a probiotic? And a lot of people nowadays will often say, well, yeah, actually, I'm already taking a probiotic.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you say then? You get kind of stuck because you're like, oh, okay. And I learned this from Barb Lagoni because she does such a good job with this. She acknowledges them and she says, I love what you're doing right now, and I love how you're getting started with this. Let me tell you a little bit about the background to Shaklee's probiotic and why, and then she shares a little bit about the history, which I love the history about our probiotics because it took Shaklee 10 years to come up with their probiotic, and it was requested over and over and over again, but Shaklee would not release it until they could guarantee the live delivery to the gut, and that is why we have the triple encapsulation. And so being able to share that background, and then people realize, oh, wow, I bet only a small percentage of my probiotic is actually working. And so acknowledging, I love that you decided to start on a probiotic. I love that you're on a prenatal that, is quote-unquote whole foods, whatever they say, and acknowledging them that, and then being able to lead in with what makes Shaklee different. I just wanted to add that because that happens to me a lot.
And, Katie, you hit it on the head, because in a conversation where it could naturally feel like someone thinking, oh, well, they think I'm taking the wrong one, or they think I'm not doing a good job, that people will feel like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's exactly, instead of that happening, that little acknowledgement says, you are smart, you have done a good job, and let me tell you a little bit more about this. You know what I mean? And so that, I think that right there kind of sums it up, because what we don't want people to do is think that we're against them or that we're trying to challenge them on what they have been doing. So the acknowledgement is a huge bridge to gap that. So good point. All right. So then you really do want to kind of make sure that you're not telling, but you're listening, and you're not pitching, but you are participating in what they're sharing with you. There's a lot of really good information out there that talks about the psychology of conversation and interaction. But if we're doing this right, what happens is people are going to lean forward and they're going to want to know more about what we have to share. If we're here, I think one of the biggest mistakes we can make, and it happens to all of us, and I think it's just common, but we know we have the solution, and we want to go from A to Z in a 30-second span, but you have to be willing to go through the places so that offering the solution is the right time. Because if you don't, then it's just become an agenda to move a product or to sell something. So you can just kind of see here when we do all the talking and we jump real quick to then what we want to share with them on our solution, there's going to be a natural resistance, and they're going to pull back. And again, it's what I said a few minutes ago. We live in a world that's trying to get us to spend our money. We don't want to try to jump into that stream, right? We want to be a part of the solution-solving stream, but where people understand that we have something of value for them. So there's a lot of great thinking around asking permission to sell. You develop really gentle language to say, would you like some information? But it all starts with listening. So here we go. Perfect. Deep listening is miraculous for both listener and speaker. When someone receives us with open-hearted, non-judging, intensely interested listening, our spirits expand. It's perfect for this talk. And again, we have to be willing to kind of, for the second and the minute, lay down our agenda and then move into hearing them. So,
and can I add something real quick on that?
Yeah.
I think that one of the most powerful things in that is just really, and I think Rick Seymour talked about this recently, that when we really stop and think, why are we doing this? Like, where is our heart? Our heart is to help people. Our heart is to offer them a solution. Then it makes it easier to step back, to stop thinking about the PV or whatever it is, but think, just focus yourself before your call and that you genuinely want to help this person, because I believe that you do. And when we focus on that, it makes it easier to do these things, and it makes it easier to acknowledge people, to ask questions when we stop and think, what is our why? Why are we doing this? Mm-hmm. And it just makes that process easier when you prepare your mind for it.
Very good.
Absolutely. So whether you are coaching a new distributor to help them get to director and beyond, or if you are yourself a new distributor building your business, this is a list of what we see as the most viable options for introducing new customers to Shaklee products. And we're going to go through and touch on some of these today. We're not going to cover all of them. We will in future webinars, but there are so many different ways we can do in-home business launches, grand openings, healthy home, healthy you events, the Facebook events and postings, health story conference calls, which are really a 30-minute conference call with around a particular health issue or health concern, and having 3 or 4 testimonials so that it's not us as an authority, but we're exposing people to other real people who've used Shaklee products and had results. And then there are the Monday Night Wellness webinars, 3-way calls, which the gals have been emphasizing a lot today, and those are so crucial. You just have to start doing those if you're not, I think. And individual appointments, and then CDs and archived webinars or podcasts. So we're going to go into detail a little bit on some of these, and we're going to give you some word tracks and dialogues and to let the conversations begin, because that's how we do this. So, Harper, take us through setting up a 3-way call.
So one thing, when you're first getting started, or you first have someone getting started and you're trying to encourage them on how to actually do this, it's very simple. Because you're not saying you have all the information. You're not saying that you're the authority. So setting up a 3-way call is actually easier than most appointments. You can just acknowledge that they have been struggling with migraines or whatever the health issue is that you would love to help them with. And a lot of this, we see this on Facebook all the time. People complain on Facebook a lot. It's a very good avenue for them, apparently. But you see that a lot. And so you can acknowledge that you're struggling with this. I can help you. And you just let them know, someone on my team that I have been working with has information that I think may be helpful to you. Would you like to spend some time chatting with them on the phone? I'd be happy to set up a 3-way call. You are becoming a resource. You're offering to connect them with someone who can help them. And so even if you don't feel confident in these art of conversations, I'll tell you how I have learned to have conversation is by doing 3-way calls with my upline, with Barb Lagoni, with some of my other upline, listening to them speak these ways, listening to them acknowledge people, listening to them ask questions is how I have learned to do it. So not only are you able to help the people that you have a heart to help with their health, but you also can learn how to have these conversations. So, and that's all you need to say. And the 3-way call can be set up via text, Facebook message, email, phone, or in person. For me, I have found the best use of my time is to set up appointments for phone calls, because most people 35 and under, I actually read an article about this, don't listen to voicemail. And I've had multiple people where I've left them a voicemail and then I've Facebook messaged them and said, hey, did you get my voicemail? Oh, I never listen to voicemail. But to do that, but to set up the appointment, and then you can, so that's a lot of the way that people read and people follow up. And people may not answer a phone call about that, but they will, but they may look at a Facebook message and say, oh, yeah, I'd be interested in finding out more about that. So you can go to the next slide.
Yeah. I just wanted to add, as being somebody who's way past 35, and this is so true, and one of the things that Mike and I have found that's been beneficial for us is that if we've called and left someone a voicemail, or if we've sent them an email, we now text and say, I just sent you a voicemail, or I've sent you an email, check it out, I want to get your reaction, or something like that. And then people are more likely to go in and listen to the voicemail. But it's so true. It's just, and we have to accept the way things are and learn how to work with them.
So the other thing, so now they've said yes. Now what do you do? When they say yes to a 3-way call, there's a way to save time. Instead of saying, when are you free, give them 3 options of when you are available, and then the date gets set right away. And this is part of this communication, because often, at least for me, often these setting it up is over Facebook and text. And so if you send them a Facebook message and you say, when are you free? It's open. You know, they're sitting in the pickup line to pick up their kids, or they're sitting in the dentist's office like, I don't know when I'm free. And then all of a sudden, that message gets lost in their myriad of Facebook message and text. But if it's because they can't respond right away. But if you say, I'm free on Tuesday at 1 o'clock, Tuesday at 8 p.m., or Wednesday at 3, all of a sudden they have 3 options. They can kind of think, okay, of any of those 3 options, when am I free? And even when they, oftentimes what I've experienced is even when they don't, say, oh, Tuesday at 3, they'll respond, well, would you be free Tuesday at 4? Because all of a sudden you're giving them a context to think about their schedule. And those calls get those scheduled much quicker when you give them the 3 options. But just remember, too, if they aren't ready for a 3-way call, don't worry about it. You're not looking for those who aren't interested. You're looking for the ones who are. So you did what you could do by offering them a solution, and if they're not ready for it and they're not interested, they know it's out there. They can always come back to you. And just remembering when you do set these up to be edifying the person who's speaking. Be edifying the person, tell them why they would want to talk to this person.
Yes.
As you're preparing. Why would they want to speak with this person who you want to connect them with?
I think that's so important. And many times I'll say, you know what, I just think it would be really helpful for the 3 of us to have this conversation together because, my upline has different experiences, and I think she can bring a lot to the conversation to help us really, answer your question. So go ahead, Joe.
Well, I just wanted to add, I think that edification goes both ways, personally. You want to edify, yes, the so-called expert, but then if I'm the so-called expert, and Lisa, you've set up the 3-way call, I want to edify you. I want that new person to hear me say, I am so excited that you're part of Lisa Anderson's team because she is going to take really good care of you, and she's blah, 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 Yeah. And so then that gives that prospect probably sees you in a new light also.
Yeah, you're so right, Joe. I think that's important. And then they feel a part of something special, and it's
exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about some skills around inviting, and you can see here that we've really given some examples of the 3 elements of the meaningful, authentic conversation. I think here's the most important thing. And I was meeting with one of our new leaders the other day, and she has 2 events on the calendar for February. We're excited. We were talking about the inviting piece, and we were talking about any given week, you could, any given day, will receive an invitation to a Facebook event, an evite to this, that. I mean, I get invited probably to 5 or more things a week. And I'm just going to say, use the word never, because it's pretty much true. Does someone who's invited me to that thing tell me that they've invited me for a reason? Or make me feel that I'm being invited because of something specific or particular to me. So here, I believe, is the key. You do not want the people that you're inviting to come hear about Shackley, either in an in-home event or even attending a webinar or attending a call, to think that they're one of hundreds that you're inviting because you're just trying to get people there. You want people to think that they're being invited because you thought of them, because of something specific or special, but it's an individual thing. That, I believe, is the secret to getting people to come hear about Shackley, because if they're one of the masses, they're going to feel like, well, it doesn't really matter if they're there or not, but if they're one that's being invited specifically because I'll say, you just strike me as someone that's so proactive and really works hard for their family, and I think that this would be something that's really interesting to you. You just have to make it separate. So again, you guys can read through these acknowledgments. I thought of you because it's exactly what we're talking about. The Tell Me About piece, Barb is really good about saying, tell me about who comes to mind of people that you know that might be struggling with this. That's a great way. And then you can say, well, let me tell you why I'm asking. It's a really just very personal and real way to enter a conversation. And then you can say, there's something that's happening next week that I'm pretty excited about. It's a webinar. I was wondering if you would like to come to it. So, again, you just have to get out of the massive flow of huge inviting, and you got to move into very personal stuff. However you want to do it. Go ahead.
Something else, too, is that people really appreciate when you take the time to when they know that you're thinking about them,
yes,
and you want to help them. So that 3-way call I did the other day, was right before a baby shower that I was about to throw, and it was a little hectic in my schedule trying to fit it in, and, you know, it was just a really, really busy day. And I got a card from her the other day, and she just said, thank you so much for taking the time out of your Saturday to help me with my health concerns. I just really appreciate it. And I thought, you know what, people do love the fact that we go out of our way to help them, and that when we do offer our time, people are appreciative of that. So remember that people are just dying for somebody to have to spend an hour with, just so that they can share about how frustrated they are because, you know, they can't do certain things because of, you know, whatever struggle they may be doing health-wise, and people will appreciate that. So I think that's important to remember too.
And you're so right, and Katie, it's because they feel special. You made her feel special. They feel important, and it is everything in the relationship world. So, very good point. All right.
Who is going to do this? Texting scripts. Katie or Harper?
I can talk a little bit about this.
Okay.
Texting is a whole new realm of communication that is really quite powerful because people have their phone right away, and it's very interesting to discover even who responds to texts that don't respond to any other form of communication. And so, you know, some people have had real success using texting scripts, but these also can help you develop what you're going to say. You know, they can. Obviously, you want to look and see what these are, and you can format them for the person that you're texting it to. But these are a great way to get started because just making connections with people. Some people have set aside some time just to look through and see, you know, look through their list on their phone and say, okay, who do I want to share this with? So these are just some scripts that other people have used. I've used some of these, and to get you started, you know, for a brand new person, someone who wants to start a business, offering to send them information. You know, and the thing about some of these conference calls too, that we do, like the health conference calls that your team can set up on a particular topic, you can send the phone number directly to them with the contact information. I have it as a contact in my phone, and I can text it right to them. So they just have to click on it and press, and it makes it really easy for them to get on the call because it's right there. They don't have to look it up or find the information. It's right there on their phone. So texting it to them, those kind of things too are very powerful.
That's a good point.
And most people also have access to video. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people have a smartphone. They have access to video. So you can send them a link to the video that you want to show them on Shackley TV or something like that, a YouTube clip. They can watch it all on their phone. They just click from that text. Anyway, so these are just some great, I don't know if anyone else wants to share, but inviting people to events, just, you know, even that first contact about inviting them, letting them know that you were thinking about them. Anyway, do you guys have anything else to add on these? That was just something that I've discovered recently.
I would just say, I think, like I was saying earlier, I think, you know, we might say, well, gee, I don't know anything about texting. I haven't done it. My thing is learn about it and do it because it really is the way people are communicating today.
I mean, I have a customer. Oh, go ahead, Katie.
Well, Harper, I think you do such a good job with this. Texting is very similar to Facebook. Did you notice that in the text it was, can we grab coffee, can we chat? Because you want to get it off of texting. You know, there was a joke once, I think it was maybe Rick Seymour, about texting about the business to somebody and doing the whole, like, plan over text. You can't do that. People need to have a conversation. And so the goal of the texting is to see if they can set up a time. I mean, texting is how I reply to a lot of people, especially getting together. I'll text somebody, hey, does this date, or this date work to get together? And so it's similar, where people are always at their phone, and you're looking for a chance to reach out to them and to see if they would be available to talk. And a lot of times when, Harper, I believe when some of our friends do these from a mom's group, they do like 30, 40, 50, 60 people. And of those 30, 40, 50, 60 people, you know, they probably get anywhere from 5 to 10 people reply, which is very common. Even when you have a in-home event and you invite, let's say 30 people, you're probably going to get somewhere around 8 to 10 people come, roughly. So just remember that with texting too.
That's a good point.
Good.
Very good.
And
Which
this
leads into this.
Yeah, this is exactly what we were saying, and this is something that I feel very strongly about. Like, you have the opportunity to connect with someone in so many ways. I mean, I've had people message me, hey, can you send me some information on such and such? How do you do this? What do you do for this? Same with Facebook. But responding within, because, you know, all these things that we're talking about, and I know I've said this before, about acknowledging, asking questions, sharing your reason, you can't do that unless you talk to them. If someone asks you for information on Basic H and you send them a sheet or a link on Basic H, that's all. You're just sending them information on a product you want to sell them. But if you have the opportunity to talk to them, you can ask them questions. Well, why are you, what struck you about Basic H? Well, I'm looking at getting all the toxins out of my home. We've been having eczema issues, or I just can't seem to find something that actually cleans. All of these things start more conversations that you can learn more about what's going on with them. Is this what's really going to help them? Because if they have it in their mind, well, Basic H is going to help with this, but that's not really what's going to help them with that. You need to find out, what do they need help with? What you need to acknowledge, all of those things about that they're reaching. You can't acknowledge that, oh, this is so great that you're looking into removing the toxins out of your home. I'd love to help you with that. You can't do those things, all via text and Facebook. And the other thing is, you can't share the Shaklee difference with people in the same way as you can when you're having a conversation, voice to voice, whether on the phone or in person. So using these as a tool to connect with people, and then to communicate offline in a way that you can really ask questions and acknowledge them and share your passions with them.
And the last thing you just said, share your passion. Also, when you get it offline and on the phone, people can hear the emotion that you have, the passion you have. It's just so much more personal and so much more real that way.
And the bottom line is we want to have a relationship built on trust, but a relationship where then we can help them explore Shaklee. And you're so right, they can't explore Shaklee with one little page on Basic H, so we have to be willing to interact deeper. Very good. Very good. All right, I don't know who this is. Is this me, Joe?
Sure. Doesn't that look like you?
Yes, it looks just like me. Thank you so much. So what do you do when you hear a need? I've heard for 14 years that I've been in Shaklee that Shaklee is about walking out your front door and listening for needs, and it is so true. And the minute you kind of you put your beacon up to hear needs, every day, all day long, you're going to hear people talking about not feeling good, or their kids being on antibiotics for 12 months straight, or they can't pay their bills, they don't know what they're going to do. You're going to hear them, right? So you're going to hear the need. So what do you do when you hear need? Now, this first sentence, I just don't know the backstory behind it, and I don't know if I've ever asked anybody if they've noticed an odors. So, Joe, do you know? I don't know how to. I'm sure there's a good reason for asking people about odor, but I don't know the answer to it. But the point of this is, and we've alluded to it, I think 3 times on this call, if you hear a need and you don't respond in that moment, it's completely appropriate to call back and say, I've been thinking about you since we talked on Tuesday, and I was wondering if. And then ask some more questions, and then get to the point, would you be interested in looking at something that I've used for years because it's really been good for me and my family? I don't know if it's, if there's certainly no pressure, but I thought you might want to check it out. It could be really beneficial. See how that works? If you're in the moment and they're sharing a need, you ask a few more questions, and then you'll say, you know what, I wonder if you might want to take a look at what I do. We found for us, when we were needing some money, but I still wanted to be with the kids, that it was the perfect solution. We could sit down and we could explore it together. I love to use the words explore. I love to use the words check out. And frequently I say there's no pressure at all. It's really important that everyone you're talking to knows that your feelings are not an issue, that you're not going to be destroyed or devastated if they're not interested, because once they can get rid of that responsibility, they can actually hear what you're saying. But if they're worried about hurting your feelings, they can't hear what you're saying. They're just worried about getting out of the situation because it's awkward. Does that make sense? So,
yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I'm just going to say, so when we hear a need and it's not appropriate to respond at that moment, we can just say, I've got some thoughts about that, or I've got a couple ideas. I'll get back to you. Or if you don't have their phone number, ask them for their contact information. We don't have to walk away from the situation regretting that we didn't say anything. We can just say, I got a couple thoughts on that. I'd love to share with you. Tell me how the best way to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
And then I've been on back later.
Exactly. I've been on an airplane with someone, and they've asked a lot of questions, usually like going to a Shackley trip or something, and it kind of comes up, and then they'll be a little curious, and I'll say, oh, I can email you some things about that. Would you like me to do that? And they say sure, because it's very safe, and then I get their email information, and then if we talk a little bit more, and I'm like, hey, would it be okay if I called you a few days after I sent the email just to make sure you got it and see if you have any questions? And they'll say, sure, and then I get the phone number. But it's just about being in the moment, being settled and relaxed, but not letting the opportunity go to help someone. And I think, Harper, you said it beautifully. If we keep our eye focused on helping them, that really is the key to opening the doors to sharing freely, I think. So. All right.
And we put this slide in just to remind all of us that there are about the use, share, and build model that we have to conclude a presentation or a conversation or an event with people. And so we just want to be mindful of what is important here is that we're giving people 3 options. So even let's say you're talking with somebody who's interested, who has a health issue, they're interested in product, they're obviously probably going to be a used person, unless, like you heard earlier, the issue of money comes up, and then you can talk to them about sharing or being a referral partner. But even with the using, if someone is just going to use Shackley products, give them 3 options. You've heard us mention that several times already this morning. 3 options for times to get together, 3 options for what information you could send them or how you could connect with them. Those are important because if you give people 2 options, they get conflicted. It's like, well, one of these is better. That's why they're giving me 2, but I bet they think that I should pick one over the other. And if we give people more than 3 options, it can be very confusing to them, and they're like, I don't know, I can't think about this. This is just too much for me. 3 is the sweet spot. So just remember that when you're concluding or you're offering somebody, what to do next, think of offering 3 options and work it around the use, share, build as often as you can.
I think that's great. Very good. Yeah.
Okay, Lisa.
All right, and this really is a summary slide, so I won't go through all of this. This just kind of repeats a lot of the ways of inviting people to take a look at Shackley, listening, asking permission, using third-party resources. A lot of time, if I'm having a conversation, I'll say, I have a great little video. I love Harper's little Shackley Effect video. If I'm talking to a mom, let me send that to you, and then let's talk, and that kind of thing. Here's the piece that I think is important when you're really getting into learning how to speak with people. Avoid things like shoulds, have tos, or need tos, because even if you're not meaning to, they put people on the defensive, and they feel like, again, you're telling them that they've done it wrong or they need to do it your way. And I think most of the population is wired to defend their own way, even if their own way they know is bad. You know what I mean? So you just don't want them having to defend. You don't want them to feel like they're being judged or they have to defend why they've done it. I've also heard one of the words you should avoid is why. Why don't you do this, or why this? I think that because it quickly slips them into feeling judged, and people unfortunately naturally feel criticized and judged. So just be aware of that, and of course acknowledging and affirming will naturally help you avoid those, but it's just great basic 101 and really getting good at interacting with people. So
and I just want to share something quickly, an experience that Mike and I had just the other day. We were in Arizona. It's like a timeshare, only we are a Starwood owner of the resort there. And works like a timeshare. But every year we go in for an owner update, and we do it primarily because we get Starwood points. And we've been doing this for like 8 years now. Every single year when we've gone in, we've dreaded it because we have felt buttonhole that all they want to do is sell us another week of timeshare, that was the whole purpose of this owner update. This year we go in, and the first thing she says to us is, tell me about how you use your owner benefits. Totally different conversation that we had after that. We did not feel like the main point was to sell us something. We really felt like she wanted to know how she could help us take advantage of all of the benefits we have.
Wow.
You know, so and having the table flipped, you know, in this respect, where somebody was doing the tell me about with us, it felt so good.
Well, and it felt, I'm sure you felt respected and honored and
yeah.
like you matter, as opposed to like a traditional heavy-handed sales thing, which typically can happen. You feel disrespected, you feel devalued, and you feel belittled. So
absolutely
good for her. Very smart.
Yeah, that was just amazing.
All right, Katie.
She maybe went offline.
If Plan A didn't work, the alphabet has 25 more letters. Stay cool. And I have to admit, it's hard. I had somebody who wanted to talk to me about Shackley, and my daughter had a wonderful morning, and then all of a sudden she decided to have a meltdown, just as the person was talking to me, and I thought, oh, this is lovely timing. It just, I don't know. There's just moments like that. So remember that. Don't get discouraged when we have a plan, or when we have an in-home event and all of a sudden your really content baby decides that he needs to eat or something like that. That's all happened to all of us. Or, you know, you're having a conversation and something interrupts us. Just realize that everything doesn't go perfectly. And I love what Barb tells me, because sometimes, I'll tell you one thing that I got discouraged with is that I wasn't able to go to the new directors conference last year because I was about to have Caleb. And I am so excited because there was a reason why. Now I get to bring my directors this year to the new directors conference. So everything works out for a reason. And I share that because Barb is so good. Whenever I feel discouraged, oh, the conversation didn't, you know, I forgot to say this. And Barb always reminds me, things work out for a reason, and people are where they need to be at a time of where they need to be. And so I'm reminded of that. And we have to trust that things will always work out, and our conversations will always work out, and there will be a reason why we sometimes have to resort to our plan B.
Absolutely.
Very good. All right. So action steps. Set up a planning session with your distributor. I do think that this is key. Harper gave us a beautiful example what to do, but even after you have that original kind of game plan or strategy session, make sure that you are working closely with that distributor. I think people really are looking for some direction when they're first starting. So just make sure you're in tune and working with them closely. Considering offering an incentive when they set up at least 3 three-way calls, or invite 10 people to various activities, events. There's something brilliant in this, because one of the key things when working with a new person is getting them off ground zero. The sooner you can get them off ground zero, the better the chances of them moving ahead and building. Aim to help them earn Clash for Cleveland. That's a great thing to focus on. So we talked about that a lot, I think, last week, but you get a minimum of $100 per month if you have 20 sponsoring points. You want to look at Summer School 2014 if you want to get some basic building block mechanics and fundamentals. So I don't believe they're at Bob's Files, the summer session. Or maybe it's the fall.
Yeah,
okay, the summer session it's the fall session that's not at Bob's Files. It's linked to now the Better Future site. At least that's what I was told. But either way, go to bobsfiles.net for the Summer School 2014, because it is a very good getting started program.
They're both available on the podcast link, too. You can get, if you have the podcast link, they're both available there.
And that is updating. Thanks, Harper, for bringing that up, because that is updating constantly, quickly with the new ones on the podcast link, too. The ones like the one we did today will be on the podcast very quickly.
And we are so, so blessed to hear from great leaders like Katie and Lisa. And I mean, I've been taking notes, and you know, I just learn so much from them every week. And so what a blessing that it is that these are all archived, that we can share those with our new distributors. So if you have a distributor that isn't, you know, you haven't met yet, you may meet them next week, you can send them back to these, all of these things, because they are archived. So we can share these trainings with them, and that's just so valuable.
Yeah, I think that's Good point. And then we've alluded to session 3 and 4 for inviting and closing, which is really good. So,
yeah. So thank you, Lisa, Katie, and Harper. Great job this morning, ladies. And we have a few questions about, one is on the free shipping deals. Are they done as rebate checks after the orders are placed? No. Free shipping with Shackley, when you place the or sponsor the person and place the order online, Shackley takes the free shipping or the shipping costs off right away. Is the Facebook post on a regular Facebook or a business Facebook page?
Well, I think it depends. The business or the personal page. The post that Stephanie did, I believe it was her personal page, I think, but she also has a business page for her blog. And the shipping, were they asking about Susan Knott's promotion?
Oh, maybe they were. That's a good point.
Because with Susan, or whenever you do free shipping, if they are a member and you are a director above, you can go on your member center and drop their shipping, and then it comes out of your paycheck. Or you can, if they're not yet a member, or if you're not yet a director, before I was a director, I just sent them a thank you card, and then I included their rebate check.
Yeah,
so most people are pretty flexible. You know, it's right. Easier to drop it right away, but also when it's after the fact, it gives you a reason to write them a card.
That's another touch with them, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Harper, when you are sending Facebook messages to schedule calls, do you do it on PM or an open Facebook?
Oh, all on private message, for sure.
Okay. What is texting a link to? I missed that.
You can text, if you go on your smartphone and go to a website and copy the link, you can text it to them so that they can follow that link right from their text if they have a smartphone.
And I think Harper, you probably hit on one of the biggest keys in this day and age. If people have to do 1 or 2 or 3 steps to listen to something, they won't do it. But if it's right there and it's one step, they'll do it. It's kind of a magical thing. The more simple, the better the chances go up huge.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay, now some questions on what if you sent the information and then said, so I'll send you the information today. When will you have time to view it? Now, Eric Worre, in his book GoPro, has a whole chapter in there on this, and it's really good. And you don't say to them, when will you view it? You would say, if I sent you a link today, could you watch it by Sunday night? And they say yes, and then you can say, well, so if I give you a call Sunday night about 7:30, would you have a few minutes and we can chat about what you saw? And if they say, no, I can't do it, because I got company coming from out of town. So if I sent you the link on Sunday, could you watch it by Tuesday? So it's
and you know what? It really works. I read that book and I started doing that because I wasn't doing it before, and it really works. And everybody, it's like, and it feels natural and comfortable, and it's not rude. It's actually kind of thoughtful of their time. So it really, really works. I wanted to mention real quick, one of our leaders had the most amazing Facebook event last week. Fantastic members and business conversations, and she said one of the reasons she had a high attendance and good interaction is the night before her event, I know this is so simple, but a lot of times we would miss this. She sent text to all of the people she invited and say, I'm hoping you can make the Facebook event tomorrow. I think you're going to really like the information I share. So that little teeny step will bump up your chances too. So I wanted to mention that.
Sure. Yeah. When you get the appointment via phone or text and you meet with them, do you use a presentation or just are you talking?
Well, for me, I do, 98% of my conversations on the phone because I work during nap time, so I can't really leave. And so most of the time I work while my kids are sleeping. And so for me, I do most of them on the phone, but I know Lisa does a lot of them in person. It just depends on what works best for you.
I think it depends on what they're expecting too. If I've said, let's get together, I'll share some stuff with you and we can go through it together, they know that I'm planning on bringing information and share it, and I'm always prepared to give a presentation, and I've been doing a long time and all that good stuff. But if they're not, or even if I say, well, let me get some information together for you, and then we can get together and I can just kind of show you what it is, I'll keep it real casual. But if they're not expecting a presentation, it's not a good idea to surprise them with it. They don't like it.
Our product guide is fabulous for using as a talking venue, if you would, because you can take the catalog that they might expect, but there's just a lot of things, and you can go through there and say, well, I want to point out to you 3 of my favorite products, but then let's just look at this, and if you see something that strikes you or that you're curious about, let me know, and we can chat about that a little bit.
And that's what, actually, with my one-on-ones, that's what I use for my presentations is the catalog. If you start with the timeline, there's almost not a better way to give a foundation for Shackley with the timeline in the back of that book. Yeah. It's phenomenal. So, and it doesn't feel, you don't want something that feels super presentation-y. You really don't.
No.
People don't want to feel like they're going to like a timeshare thing, right? So that's in my mind. But so you want your presentation to feel very casual and interactive, and if you're asking questions, it will. But so go ahead, Joe.
Well, the odor that you weren't sure about, Lisa, it could be coming from the washing machine, someone said. Or do you ever notice an odor when you run your dishwasher? Then we talk about
that makes way more sense. I think I was thinking nutritional solutions.
Or body odor.
Tell me about your odor. But even though we do talk about stuff like this quite often.
All right, so if we talk about the odors in the dishwasher, we can talk about the chemicals that are going into the air in their toddler's noses because
you're so
of odor
smart.
and chemicals.
Whoever's sharing that, you're so smart. Thank you.
How do you implement the share option, free products for referring others? Shackley doesn't have a system in place for that, does it?
I can tell you what I say, but if someone else wants to jump in first, that's fine, or whatever.
Oh, go ahead.
For me, the share option is someone who wants to share Shackley on a casual level, but they're not really interested in pursuing the business. I kind of call them a referral partner, but there's several ways. If someone wants to host an event, I'll give them a hostess gift. And so that's one way they could be in the share option and get a hostess gift. However, there's really absolutely nothing wrong with a person either becoming a gold ambassador or a $29.95 distributor and just get bonuses, on the group. And it is very smart to build little groups of consumers under your referral partners. I have multiple people that are not doing the business, but that get a bonus check. And so I'll talk to them about it. So I'll say that, well, there's a couple of ways you could approach sharing. If you would like to share with people and get your products paid for, then we want to have a couple of get-togethers or share a few things so that we build a little group under you. And you're not doing the business. I'll take care of all them, but then you'll get a nice little thank you check from Shackley based upon the volume that comes in from that little group. So it's just a very comfortable step into not doing the business but to sharing Shackley products. And most people are going to fit in this because these products are excellent and they're going to want to tell people about them. So you can look at it as a hostess gift or a thank you gift for giving them a name, or you can get them in as a distributor, but just casually connecting you to people, and then you build a little group under them. So what do you say, Joel? Is that how you guys would do it?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's not giving them a free gift necessarily for referring a specific person.
It's bringing people to your Shackley organization, and then you kind of help them get a little bonus check every month for sharing with people. And the nice thing is it really does increase sales because then they'll order 100 PV so that they get that bonus check, and you can gently share. Now there's a couple of different levels. I like my referral partners to hit 500 PV because the $40 check is nice. You know what I mean? And so it's just a conversation. It's just options. And I'll tell them a lot of times people will do this. You have some choices. You will get comfortable the more of the conversation you have. But I like referral partner because it helps them know that I'm not thinking that they're going to build a business, but they are going to help connect people to me. So that's what I communicate in the share column.
There's a ton of questions here about the podcast and that, but I think what we're going to do is I think we'll have Chris Spell on the pre-call one of these times coming up here so that he can talk a little bit more about the podcast. And
that's a good idea. Very good.
And I guess there's the Better Health, and is it Better Health in 31 Days that is closing? Oh, it's not.
No. Better Health
subscriptions.
Is it really?
So
well, we should let Chris talk about that.
We'll be archiving the webinar some way, so we'll get that figured out.
These archives are going right to the Better Future Starts Today, and they're wonderful. They're right there. It's a one-click. They pop up. They play just like a webinar. So the Better Future Starts Today. .com/whoever has a subscription is a great place to get the archive. But I think having Chris on to explain it is a good idea.
Yeah.
Very good idea.
Can people still upgrade to distributor for free within 60 days? Is that permanent or just a special offer that's over now? No,
it was an offer, right?
Right. They can upgrade to, if they're a member, they can upgrade to distributor for $29.95. They don't have to pay the whole $49.95.
Which is really a nice deal. I'm finding a little bit more of an appreciation for that option. I used to think it was dumb. That's me being honest. But I think to upgrade for $29.95 and be eligible for volume bonuses, it's nice. I like it.
Yeah. All right. I think that about covers everything, and some of those questions that people had, we will take care of those by featuring Chris in a pre-call so he can go over all that with us. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week, and let's just start talking to people.
Very good.
You'll be amazed what it does for your
Happy
business.
to have you on. Thanks, Katie.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.